Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here to talk with Dylan from the Traitors Canada Season 2. You were murdered in plain sight by Michael John. Dylan, how are you doing? We saw you reading the letter. What was going through your mind?
Honestly, it was like I thought going into I thought like I was gonna have a great night's sleep. I was gonna have another day in the manor, and I was gonna be all fine. Just because why would they murder me? I'm super loud. But then of course Michael John chose me just because I never interacted with him. And reading the letter, it's like most of the letters you get when you're murdered. It says like by the order of the traitors, you've been murdered. And this one was totally different. So I was kind of in shock because mine was like you got murdered by the hand of the devil, and I'm like, what does that mean? So it was even more confusing as a super fan of the traitors.
So you are a super fan. Do you know about the show before you were on it? Were going to be on it, or you were like watching everything, or what's your history with it?
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of the UK series when it first came out. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was an amazing series. And then I, of course, watched the US, watched Canada, tried Australia, couldn't get into the tracksuits at all. Tried New Zealand for the first season, didn't really like how low budget it was. But then the second season, I watched, and it was one of the best seasons. And I've even watched like Drag Race. I've even watched the Traitors Quebec and the Traitors France, some of the seasons.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a Traitors France. I've
Yeah.
seen most of the Traitors Canada, Quebec, but ooh, that's a fun one that I get to go and dive into. So thank you for the reco. So how did you get onto this season from the world that you work in to coming onto a reality TV show?
Yeah, so if you kind of look at the Hunter series, or everybody, all my castmates, everybody is either some kind of reality star from beforehand. So you have the classic Netta, Kevin, or you know, even Gail, even though she's a wrestler, she had done Amazing Race Canada, and then everybody else was essentially some kind of social media influencer. So most people are really like Instagram famous, or they do kind of something like a YouTube show, or they kind of do whatever it is. And then there's me, who is none of these things. So I think I was just cast. Obviously, I'm a pretty loud personality. I don't think you liked me, so we can get into that later. We can have a little red table talk where you kind of say what you didn't like about me. But I think that they just thought I'd be a nice addition, and I think I was.
Absolutely. No, I definitely I don't think it was a dislike. I was like, why are you coming for Mike when he had a decent read on Michael John? And I just thought that you weren't necessarily, for what we saw, being fair to him having his own opinion on who to
Well,
write his
listen,
name down.
Chantel, there is not in the manner when I say things like you need to not defend, or like, don't go after Michael John. There's not a swirl of violins that are playing like there are in the show. Okay. So I don't know what's happening. Also, like, I love him, and I kind of am so happy that in the end he was correct about Michael John, because in the manner, I'll be honest, like he had very few social friends and things like that, and he was a hard time kind of relating to people. So I'm just actually happy, like looking back at it, that he kind of Mr. Magooed himself into finding out as Michael John. Michael John was kind of an iconic traitor. So like, I think also it was an easy, like, let's be fair, I'm a huge fan of the traitors, and I understand how the things work. And if you kind of pick on a person that's maybe a little more vulnerable, then the traitors will like that. So it was kind of me also communicating to traitors, like, I'm not traitor hunting. I'm going after people that are not obviously traitors. That's like, it was a way to try to save me. It's a little
No,
rude
and you know
way,
what?
but
Like,
it's that game.
hearing your side of it, like, it's definitely like a great strategy. Melissa and I were always talking about the fact that why aren't they just, keeping the traders close potentially, or like wanting to work with them? And so the idea of not wanting to be a target for the trader would hopefully help you not get murdered. So totally respect and understand that strategy. I was just feeling for Mike there, knowing that he was kind of like, on the outside, kind of like you mentioned. So no, I hope no hard feelings. I was just
No, it's okay. I mean,
watching you as a character, not
I
as
know
you as a.
it's okay. Love me or hate me, at least you watched me, so it's fine. But
And I
it's just
did not want you to be leaving this episode. I was like, no, like
no one did.
especially the way that it went down.
Yeah, but it's like it's also pretty iconic. I've said this before, but only hot people are murdered in plain sight. Ekansu,
Ooh,
Diane, and me. So it's like it's a good crew to be in if you're gonna be
and
murdered.
who Ekansu, right?
Yeah, Ekansu and Diane.
Oh, Diane. I only heard Diane. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, only the most gorgeous are murdered in plain
Exactly.
sight. Absolutely. So I was expecting there to be some sort of, funeral procession. How did you feel about how it wasn't how most of these murders in plain sight were going to go down?
You know what? It was pretty iconic overall that I got murdered. Especially considering I thought like for sure I was like on the banishment table. I was never gonna get murdered. I was always gonna be team banishment. I kind of do wish there was a funeral because it would have been me going insane, my insanity of knowing that I'm going to be leaving one of my favorite shows and also like the first reality show I did. So I think I would have been like screaming, Michael John's like shook my hand, take him out tonight, and like gone a little like probably would have channeled my inner Melinda and gone a little crazy. It is what it is. You know, I think it's also kind of funny that like, um, I mean, I was very surprised with Michael John just because like he didn't really seem to understand the rules of the game. It turns out that actually is working for him, so it's totally fine. And I had very few interactions with him just because like on the first night we're meeting each other, and like I think I met Michael and Michael John together, and Michael John started like singing a copyrighted song. So
Oh,
as someone who wanted screen time, I was like, well, that will remove me from getting screen
you're
time.
like, stay away from him.
So yeah, it was in the end, I think he's been an excellent choice, and it's been very, very fun TV to watch.
So when you did first arrive to the manor, were there anybody else that you recognized? So I know you're a fan of the Traitors. You're also a fan of reality TV.
Yeah, so of course Melinda, like right away, like
Mhm.
hello, like icon, legend, star. And then like there's a few people that I've heard of through various means, but Melinda was the one I like recognized right away, and I was like, oh my god. And then I love the BB Can when they did the destroying the letters, and Ika is like
Season two.
Netta, like this letter's been destroyed and all that stuff. So I knew who Netta
Shouting.
was, but I think since the game, I didn't know like how strong of a player or how loud of a player because I if Akin, or if Aiko was there, I would have been like, oh, I know you, but I didn't really know Netta.
So would you have wanted to be, I would assume yes, but a traitor going into this game?
Actually, no, just because I had a huge personality, so I thought it would be best if I was a faithful that would later get recruited, just because through insanity, like someone would be like, okay, let's pick the most obvious, loudest person here. Turns out I wasn't the loudest person there. A few other people, it's just pretty crazy that I wasn't the loudest. But honestly, like I kind of thought that being a faithful would be more accurate, and I could have. I just I didn't really want to get murdered, but I thought it'd be better for me to be a faithful because I could be my loud self.
Now, why step forward to be one of the 5 people on death row at the beginning?
Yeah. So at the beginning, so you can kind of see in the death row. I think there's like obviously like there's like very different accounts. To me, it went really quickly, and I
Yeah,
think
some people are
like
saying that it didn't. It took like a
yes,
long
yeah,
time,
it
and
seems to be confusion, but to me, it went really quickly. And so I just saw Henoch go for it. I saw Lauren go for it. I saw Kevin go for it, and then I saw Chris. And so I'm the last one. And in my head, I'm kind of thinking Chris, Henoch, and Kevin. Like, if the murders kill one of those 3, they kind of have enough to say, like, well, it was kind of one of the bros. They're kind of similar characters. Like, no one's going to be like, if you're mad that Chris is gone, you have Kevin. If you're mad that Kevin's gone, you have Chris, kind of in my head. And then I also know I'm a pretty loud person. So, like, why would they murder the loudest person in the room? So that was a factor. Also, I will say I was in the same car as Lauren and Henoch. So, of course, like, car pride, we got to go for the, like, we're the bravest car.
is
So,
that really?
yeah. I mean, like, we're all in the same car. And then, there's a little rose gets the body moving a little
You're
bit.
like, I'm
So,
here to play. Like, let's
yeah,
go. Let's
yeah,
step
exactly.
forward. Like, we're playing the Traitors. And you're like, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have stepped forward.
But it actually kind of gave me after every single roundtable when they do the selection, everybody's task is to not look guilty. But for the first time, probably in Traitors history, my task was to look super guilty and super crazy and super all these things. So that's like kind of it was kind of a fun way for me to play just because I'm a huge fan of the Traitors. And like I know like after the selection, you're not supposed to drink your water. You're not supposed to like, you have to cheers in a very normal way. But for me, it's like, oh, I got to do the opposite. I got to make this crazy speech at the end that was actually planned. Like I was like, you need to make a really bad speech so you look scared, but don't be like, it's Melinda, that's a traitor. Just be like, oh, like I don't know how this game will go and scared. And I knew right away that it very likely I'd be the last one in for breakfast. So I was excited for that because that's kind of like screen time. And then I also knew like that as soon as Enoch and Kristen speak, I was like, it's one of them. And then that also got me in the mind that it was Kevin as a traitor, just because he was so confident, it felt like, compared to Lauren was like, she was running like head fell off, and she was super nervous, but I think she was the safest, and it turned out I was right. But I thought for sure once I made that speech and Enoch and Kristen speak that it was one of them that was gonna be gone. It was right.
So, I mean, I love the fact that all these things that you're doing were strategic because, it just seemed to us that like you were kind of throwing things out there. But I definitely love a strategic king. So good job. So if you were to go back, would you still go back as a faithful, or would you want to try your hand at being a traitor right off the bat?
No, so again, like my goal was to try to be like a
Recruiting.
trader's friend. And so
Okay.
there's a lot of things I do that actually are trying to benefit the traders. I'm a very unfaithful faithful. Uh
This is
there's
the way to
things
play, to be honest. You want to be
it
recruited.
kind of it's a strategy, right? And
Yeah.
so like there's things that I do that like I take a shield and I take it because I think Lauren is also another trader. So I'm like, great, I'm giving a trader a shield and I'm giving myself, who's probably already have the loudness shield. I didn't need to have that shield, but I was like, this is me trying to be like to the traders. It's hard to communicate these to them because I don't think they got it that I was like doing it for them. It's like it's a nuance. And then like even me being like I at the first second breakfast I go to, it's Mary, John, Kevin, Aaron, and Lauren, and I already think it's Kevin and Lauren. So I'm like, tonight we're gonna vote Mike. So I was like trying to communicate to those people like I'm not going for you, even though it was like wrong, but like it was trying to me communicate to traders like
I'm on your side here. Don't
yeah,
murder
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Now, why do you think that Michael John ended up murdering you? Just think it was just like the easiest
No,
person,
I
or
never talked to him. Like I think like honestly, I think it was like the first time I talked to him. The first time I talked to him, he did copyright material. I'm like, I need to avoid him. Next time, I'm like, do you know Michael? Like, do you and Mike know each other? Which I'm sure was annoying him. And then the next time is like me saying like, you and Nichelle are friends. Why was Nichelle murdered? And it was like, was it putting suspicion on you? And that's like literally like I'm never in the same car with him. You can check the feed. I'm never with him. I'm never nearby him. So I just think like he was like, listen, this is a friend. This is someone who's closer with the girls than me, and he's not talking to me. So I'm actually not a benefit to me being in the game, even if I am loud.
so what would you say maybe is your favorite or best move that you made in this season? Your proudest move, maybe?
I mean, honestly, I think it's me looking dumb at the round table for the first one, but I will say I'm very proud of all my votes. I think they were very fun and good TV. Like I tell Cedric to calm himself, even though I know.
Oh, that's another thing that I was calling you out for. And it's
Yeah,
like, why are you being so mean to Cedric? Like I've met Cedric a few times before.
but it was me trying to say to the traders like I'm gonna make him angry. And then I think my vote for Mary Jo was kind of iconic, with calling her a real housewife and telling her to audition. And I think even though I love her and like that, it was just me trying to make like I didn't want to vote Mary Jo, but it seemed like the round table was definitely she was leaving. So if I wanted to blend in, I had to make it fun and light, and that's what I tried to do. And then even in the Crave edit, there's me saying to Mike, "You're a really nice guy. I don't think you want to be playing this game any longer." I think it was me trying to like lily pad and be like, I'm not a bully. Like you are a nice person. I'm sorry for voting for you. So I
So
think my vote,
who would you say your best friends were like in the game? Who would you trust the most?
even though I voted for her, Mary Jo was one of my best friends in the game. It's like Lauren, Trana, Lori. Those are all the people I trusted. I think I even like gave a little bit like more of my strategy to Netta, like of saying I think it's Kevin, but I was really guarded about who I'd say I think it's Kevin or who I think it's Lauren to, because I didn't want them to go, because if I thought they were traitors, I wanted them to stick around longer
Mhm.
than and not be a traitor hunter. So I was really resistant about trying to push them out. And honestly, like if you weren't a guy and you didn't do reality, I really didn't talk to you. Like, I'm sorry, Nick, I love you. Pac-Man, I love you, but I didn't really talk to you a lot. But also, like, Pac-Man, I didn't really talk to a lot, and I think this is
Mhm.
not really talked about a lot, is that he kind of like would start like in a round table being like a very elaborate story, and it would put a lot of suspect on like whoever he talked about. And I was like, okay, I need to avoid that because I don't have any suspect on me. So
Mm.
like that was kind of a strategic of like me being like, his round table behavior makes me nervous about being around him.
Fair, very fair. I mean, starting to have a little bit of a coming out party now, but I can see how that would be like unnerving. Be like, you know what? You might ruin my game here.
Yeah.
So if you like, I know you say that you'd still rather be a faithful, but if you were a traitor, who would you want to be in the conclave with?
Honestly, I think like Kevin and Lauren, we'd be like a really iconic three traders. I think Lauren's just like super strategic about the game. She's super social. You know, like there's so often where I'm like, why is she talking to that person? Like, come on, like talk to me. But she's like trying to further a game and it's working for her. And it's not working for me. I'm murdered. And then I think Kevin, like I think his presence in the manor was a lot bigger than it is on the show. Like I think he was just like really smart. I think he knew how to play everything. He was also really good at the challenges. So like I think like he's a really nice guy too. So I thought like he'd be kind of a fun person to do with. But honestly, I kind of love the three that are chosen. Like they're it's been really fun TV. You kind of have like the human golden retriever Kira, like making friends with everybody. Everybody's like loving her. But then like yelling at Michael John every single conclave. Michael John not understanding how to be a traitor and being a little crazy.
Thinking he's doing a good job, and she's like telling him like you're doing a terrible job.
And then Netta being the silent assassin has been so good.
Absolutely. So when you learned that you were murdered by the hand of the devil, did you have an idea of who you thought might be going home in the banishment? Like, were you surprised by who actually went home?
Yeah, I was super surprised. I knew like there was people I was confident like I was really confident that Kevin and Lauren were traitors. There were people I was really confident were faithful, and that was Trana just because Trana went too hard the last round table. So I thought like that's a crazy person would never like the traitor wouldn't act like that. I thought Jasmine she kind of would go a little crazy sometimes. She knows she knows she is. She's a little crazy. So I thought for sure. I thought Pac-Man was just too like whatever. So I thought he was for sure, and I also thought Hinoc was for sure a faithful. And that was proven right to me. But I thought it was just like the faithful, the faithful. So I was actually like, nervous because I thought he'd like out me as being the unfaithful faithful.
Oh, right. You're like, oh, if you are doing this really well, like,
Yeah,
I'll get you.
yeah.
So what would you say your favorite part about being on this season has been, especially coming as a fan? You got to live out a fantasy here.
Yeah, I mean, like 2 years ago, I was, watching Amanda like drink red wine and like, talking like and like talk about who they're gonna murder and things like that. And then like to be on the show, it's been like the most iconic experience of my life. Like, I never thought I'd be on a reality show, and it's been an amazing experience. So it was honestly like the most amazing experience. I wish I could do it longer, but Michael John had other means for me. Yeah, so yeah.
And would you, I would assume that it would be a yes, but would you go back and do it again?
I mean, like, of course I would. I mean, if there's like an international All Traders All Stars, I'll do it.
Ooh.
I am American, so maybe the US version. Bravo, are you listening? Or so yeah, I would definitely do it again. And you'd have to come with a different strategy because now people have seen you and things like that.
100%. And would you do any other reality shows, or is it just Traitors for you?
You know what? I don't know how to cook. Let's do Top Chef. I don't know all these other things. I would do whatever it would take. So I think I made fun TV, even if you didn't like me, Chantele.
I was just being judgmental and critical of the player, of never of the person.
Okay, sure. Yes, I would definitely do like anything.
Well, that's really fun though. I mean, I definitely you need all types of characters on these shows, and especially ones that want to play. We're always like, oh, they're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Like you come in there and you want to do something. So I definitely respect and appreciate that, and I did enjoy that, even though I might have been critical at times.
Yeah, I think also like I think I really appreciate our cast in particular because I think our cast was really well done, and I think like even when they're wrong, it's like fun to watch and it's not frustrating at all.
Wait, you might know the stats. When will it be that it's the worst faithfuls with like their track record of not finding a traitor?
I think we have it. We're at just.
You're already in. I'm not sure where. I know it's getting there if it's not there.
But like I think like it's been like it was an awesome experience to have like I think at one point we were trying to organize a car that was LGBT, so it would have been like a lesbian, gay, bi, and trans. We never organized in the end. We got in like every single day. We're like, we're gonna do it. And I would. That's the only thing I regret is that we never had the LGBT car.
Maybe next time. How do you feel about the challenges? Were they fun? Like they looked really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, like they were super difficult. Yeah, I think like as a huge fan of the Traitors, I love the second mission because I think it was like really, really well done with the horse mission. I think it's like a perfect example of like how to betray. And also like, I think it's also great that like a lot of the like having done it, and then it was like basically like who lies the most, and it's Dylan. I was like, okay, they want me to crack. Like they think that
Mm.
my behavior at the round table is who I normally am. I was a little crazy and I did say STFU to Kirkland, but it wasn't to Kirkland. It was mostly about like the timer. I love it when like as a huge fan, like it always ends with like 2 seconds left, and it's like, oh my god, we got all this gold at that. Like we shot the can at that time. So I was excited now to watch it that it was like I kind of proved that the countdown is real. So you can't say it's not real any longer because I did
That's true.
that.
That's true. I mean, I've heard different accounts on the American
Yeah,
version that like they're very lenient with their times, but
yeah.
mhm.
And also I think like I think in when you're playing the game, it seems like none of the challenges have anything to do with who the traitors are, because it's like questions like, you know, do two of these traders like who is lying about their thing, and like then an explosion happens and all that stuff, or doesn't it
Mhm.
happen? And so I think there was a lot of clues that they left that I think that we had just too much to do and too much to like think about, or like we were thinking about explosions, we weren't thinking about the questions actually meant.
Mhm.
So like I think the explosion episode, it was a lot more revealing than I think. Like, why did Kira know? Like, no one. I was like,
I
why did Kira know
love
that
that. I
people
was
were
like,
lying? Like,
did she out herself? Like,
yeah, she kind of outed herself, but no one really caught on to that because I think we were just like distracted by the explosions. Or like people are lying about their identities in this game,
and
and
then
everybody's like, let's have one car ride and forget about it.
seriously, I was wondering if that was going to come back around to haunt Kira, but it didn't. But maybe it'll be something later on that people will be like, wait, I
Sure.
remember that. That was weird.
Yeah.
So maybe it will come to light. I have a few rapid fired questions. So
Sure.
just name one of your fellow castmates who is most manipulative player.
I mean, I think it's kind of me. Like I did manipulate. I mean, like honestly, I kind of killed Chris, and I think I feel guilty about it. I love him, and I kind of manipulated that situation to make sure that it wasn't me. And so I'll give myself that because I don't want to. I'll give myself that.
Take it. I didn't think you could wear that crown. Most annoying.
Most annoying. I don't know. I can't say anyone in our cast, so I'll have to say Korean just because I think she can handle it. She can,
Okay.
she can look stunning another time, but she'll get
She
that
could
one.
probably be a little bit annoying at times too, with like, some of the missions or even in the most recent mission.
Yeah,
I'll be
she
annoying.
ended that horse mission too soon. Okay, I'll give her that for that.
The loudest.
Loudest, honestly, it's like a three-way race between like me, Trana, Melinda. Is on it, Cedric. Yeah, it was like too many of us. So like it's everybody. The whole entire cast wins.
The whole, I mean, Redmond was pretty loud. And
Yeah.
definitely people were fighting for that position. Who's the funniest?
Funniest? I would say it's either like Mary Jo or Trana. I thought they were really fun. I mean, it wasn't always like haha jokes, but it was like little things here and there. Yeah, so I really miss having them around.
Which player would you most want to invite to dinner?
Well, let's say it's a table for four, and I'm gonna definitely have Lori, Lauren, and
Oh,
Mary Jo.
nice. And who's the most opinionated?
Opinionated. I don't know what to say here.
You're like everyone.
Everyone besides Nick, I guess.
I mean, I can get behind that for
Yeah.
sure. He hasn't
Like,
had to defend himself or anything. It's like even the last episode when he was upset that Cedric revealed that, what was happening with their advantage and you didn't really do anything about it.
me and Lauren went pretty hard against Cedric after that. I mean, they mostly show Lauren, but we're just like, stop and just tell us what happened. Because when you hear secret weapon in a game and it's like never been used before,
For sure.
we're like thinking, are people gonna get eliminated? Like we're thinking like everything crazy is gonna happen. And then Cedric's like, I can't tell you. And then he like makes up this fake joke. And he was just like, every time he was never a straight answer. Honestly, it's fun TV, but it's very frustrating to be around.
I can imagine like playing the game with somebody that like, yeah, just like tell us what you know.
Yeah.
But watching it back though, now do you at least understand why he wasn't so forthright with that information?
No, I think that it did my strategy of being the faithful's like pet better than I did. And I was like, damn, that was my job.
Which player do you think would make the best spy?
Best spy. Well, I mean, you have to say Netta, but let's go with a different option. So I'm just gonna say Best Spy, I think Nichelle. I mean, she's already a cop, so let's just. I'll make sure everybody's hit.
And in hindsight, who do you think was the most trustworthy?
Most trustworthy is definitely Lori. Like Lori was super trustworthy. You know, you don't have that penmanship if you're not a teacher. So we all sort of not pretended that she wasn't a teacher because we all knew she was.
Well, this is actually a lot of fun, Dylan. Thank you for talking with me. Is there anything else you want to share about your experience before we sign off today?
Um, I loved it, and I love the Traitors, and I think this is one of the most iconic seasons. So I hope everybody watches, and I hope everybody still remembers me when
We
I'm not in
will.
next week's episode.
Well, thank you for joining me today. It has been a great time. Thank
All
you.
right.